Audio check. Audio check.
we're gonna get started in a minute. If you come up to present, I ask you to sign in, and put the project that you're affiliated with. If we do have any public comments tonight, make sure you do the same thing, so your address, and what, project. Get started in a few minutes. Everyone's mic working.
We just jumping
Yeah, green lights.
Green light.
Circle computer. No, we can.
You don't have one here.
The batteries and like.
You can share. Okay.
Ones at the very end might not have a battery in.
No, I don't see much any.
Photography is. Your wildlife photography is really good.
There you go. That's not a problem. There's one here. Yeah, or you can do. I've never seen that many. I wonder if we could. It's been fascinating. That goes to that. Yeah, too. Yeah. That's exactly where the otters were. I love them. My experience with computers is probably complicated.
The first, applicant tonight was Lincoln.
Oh, no.
So, he is going to, he's that guy. He's on your screen too.
Mike Taylor?
Yes.
Okay.
So, he'll be joining us via Zoom, so we'll see.
So if I broke my leg, I could do this by Zoom.
Don't do that, David.
Did we just put him away until he shows up? Mike Taylor?
No, he's on, he's on.
He's gonna be soon.
We're live right now.
Okay.
The IT comes in and turns it on before they leave because they don't want to have to stay in for 6. So it records a full hour of nothingness and it records us. And then we skip to the meeting.
Can't hide. Mm-mm.
Which one did she say? The first, the very first, okay. Okay.
Oh, sent me to the state. So I must look at it.
Yes. It's not quite 6, is it? Whatever reasons and words mismatch Thanksgiving. It was fun. We spent Thanksgiving in North Carolina.
My little daughter who's in North Carolina. She's pregnant and she was like, I don't want to travel and I don't want to. And I really don't want to. Please stay home and then just.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 6 o'clock, the starting time for the December Board of Architectural Review meeting. I'm David Price. I'm the vice chair. The chair, Philip Dixon, is away on family health issues on the West Coast. So he will not be with us this evening. For those of you not familiar with the way our meetings are run, we take the applications in the order in which they're submitted to the town hall. And we make our decisions based upon the exterior appearance of the properties and how they fit with the local community and the historic district. And we look at mass, size, and appropriateness in our decisions. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the November meeting, which were sent out to all members. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Okay, Tim?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Rachel?
Yes.
And yes, so unanimously approved. So the first order of business tonight is old business. And it's 201 Central Avenue. And the applicant is with us by Zoom because he broke a leg. So would you like to make your presentation, Mr. Taylor?
Think you need to mute yourself. No, nope. Nope, you just muted yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Very barely.
All right, I'll move a little closer. Is that any better?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, yes, representing the Dungans for a addition to the right side of the house. There's an existing carport there, and they're wanting to turn this into living space. The floor plan will include a sitting area, a little mudroom that'll come off the front door, and a bedroom with a bath and a closet area. The outside of the house is vinyl siding, and it's got a brick foundation around most of it with brick piers. There you go. So we've tried to incorporate the brick around the addition, and keeping with the house, we're trying to match the windows with the 2/2 windows. There is a door on the front that would be a fiberglass door that they want to paint. I think they're just going white with it. And over on the left side of the house, they're also looking to add a open deck with an additional door on that side to access the deck. But the carport will remain with the roof. The gable end will remain. The eaves will be as they are. So really, we're infilling with the brick, the windows, and the doors.
Can I ask a question? I'm curious what happened about the tree. Does it need to be removed or not?
No, with this, we would just enforce our tree protection requirements, which is a foot for every caliper inch of the tree. But no, it's not getting removed.
Okay.
Any comments?
Had this come before?
Mhm.
Did we review this before?
It was deferred because there was no one present at the meeting.
Becca, could you show me the plan, please?
Which sheet?
I wanted to see the previous and proposed plan.
So they're laid out next to each other. So existing is on the left, proposed is on the right.
Can you show me the plan, please?
The floor plan?
Yes, the floor
Okay.
plan.
So this is the first floor with the demo plan. And this is the carport. I'll zoom in so you can see a little bit better. So there's existing.
And then what is the proposed plan?
So are these all rental units?
I believe, and Mike correct me if I'm wrong, the 3 cottages in the back are, and then the main house, which is the structure that's proposing renovations in the addition, well, not technically an addition, is the main house where the primary homeowner lives.
Yeah,
So
that
nothing
is
with
correct.
The cottages.
Yeah, where the work we're proposing to be done, that is their primary residence, right?
And I think I saw someplace that the windows had a grid pattern. Are the windows currently in the house divided lights or simulated divided lights?
Yeah, you've got on the back of the house, which I think was a sunroom that may have been added or something like a sunroom years ago. You've got just a 1/1 type window. The main house is the 2/2 wood windows, which appear to be original. It's a single pane of glass with the divided light. So on the carport side, to keep with the house, we were going to do the 2/2 with the external grid, which would match the house very closely.
So when you say external grid, you're talking about a simulated divided light?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can see what they've chosen for the grid pattern on the door on the right-hand side, on the carport side. Also, external grids. And they've got some side lights on there as well with a transom. So that front door unit would be all together with the grids on the outside. So
I'm finding the drawings hard to read and combining that, Mike, with the comments that you made. Is this all going to be brick infill or is it having siding with a brick base? Or I'm not sure and I can't tell from the drawings what you're doing.
yeah, the outside of the entire carport enclosure area will be all brick. We've got a brick that's going to match that foundation very, very closely. And then the mortar, of course, we would try to match that as close as we could as well. So really
And
gable up.
is that why there's that little like thing at the top where the brick goes up and then there's an inset?
Not exactly sure what you're referring to, but there's an existing
Louvers.
band board at the very top. And we're going to brick up to that band board, which is the header basically around the carport.
Right.
So basically like a big freeze board up there that's existing, that is wrapping the existing headers. The gable end that you see there, that's all existing with the siding and the metal roof, all existing. You can see at the front stoop, we are adding a little covered area. We would match the stand and seam roof with metal to match as close as we can, which is, it's basically a silver, a Galvalume.
Wouldn't it be appropriate architecturally for that band board to stand out over the brick rather than being recessed?
It looks odd recessed. I mean, my thoughts on just hearing that it's all brick is that it's, to me, an odd detail that the brick goes up and then stops and that you recess it for that band board. And that equally, there aren't any of the details that might have been appropriate for like window trim And I am also not 100% sure if this is the right choice, given, you know, the kind of colonial house that you've got to add, like to enclose this in this wrapped brick that is just clearly like wrapped. Does anyone else have any thoughts or comments on that, on the board?
Rachel, I do. I thought that what is the material underneath the vinyl on the main house? Or I guess this is the main house. What's under the vinyl?
Hybrid.
Don't you have to go back don't you have to use clapboard?
I mean, they're enclosing something and creating a deck, so I don't think we have anything in our guidelines that could force them to use a specific material on the existing house.
I mean, it's beautiful. I love it, but I think it detracts from the main house. It would be hard for me to know which door to go in, which is the main door. You know, one has gas lanterns on the outside and one, I don't know. I just don't think it's a good match.
Well, not shown in these drawings, but they do want to put gas lanterns to match at their front porch doors. Certainly with that large covered front porch, there's no doubt what the entrance is. I mean, I think, you've got the big front porch, you've got the big front door. You know, this is a side entrance basically with a mud room that'll take you up into the sitting room to get you up into the kitchen. And then some of that will be the master bedroom. But, you know, with that vinyl siding that's up there, it's like a light blue vinyl siding. I think the lap's even pretty small. I think it's like a 6-inch lap or something. You know, we gave a lot of thought into what we were trying to do here. You know, we thought about board and batten. It really just didn't look right up against the lap siding on the house. So thought about some sort of stone, maybe even, but that really wasn't looking right.
Mike, I have a further question for you about the siding. On the
Mhm.
side of the house where the carport butts into the existing home, is that all in one plane or is there a step-in plane?
Not sure if I
Good.
completely followed the question, but there is a elevated deck that comes off the side of the house and it does step
Yeah,
down a couple of
But
steps.
I'm talking about like on the opposite side of this particular photo, does that roof not butt into?
There it
right.
is.
So I'm back to again, I'm not 100% sure that the brick is right because you're gonna have siding all of a sudden just turning into brick, almost in the exact same plane. And I realize the roofs have changed a little bit, but it's like, it's weird. And it's not, I mean, I would honestly feel like the kind of detail that is on this home would be better suited for, you know, a board and batten finish so that you could have similar wood, like the window details, because it doesn't look like well, I'm not sure. What are you doing on the head and sill on the brick part of the home?
We were gonna run a brick mold with a, you know, like a 1-inch sill at the bottom. You know, so certainly once it was painted all in white, it would be similar to the house. But certainly putting a lap siding on the addition butting into the other lap siding is definitely not an option. You know,
I
tying
can
that in.
appreciate that you want to differentiate. I'm just not sure that brick on the outside that then ends and then inset from that is the existing beam. And that on this side, the two just butt against each other. Like all of those details to me just seem awkward at best and a little clunky.
Well, certainly if we needed to build that beam out to make it more flush or set the brick back further, so so that inset detail wasn't there. I mean, that's very doable. But just
Jackie, what's the rating on this house?
Number 2.
My comments would be similar to the rest of my board members. It feels very awkward and I hate to say it, Mike, but not very well done. And the window placement is random and haphazard. The vents underneath are kind of random. The brick detailing is very random. I think it would be definitely a negative for this to be approved the way it is submitted.
when you say the windows are random, not kind of following that, the windows are laid out so that they work out with the interior of the house. And I thought we did a pretty good job of putting them in locations and staggering them in such a way that, you know, they weren't up and down and up and down. You've got the one bay of windows that is at a certain height because the bedroom area will drop down so that we can get our egress windows in the bedroom. So you do have a different height window between the bedroom and the sitting areas. So that would be the difference in the window heights. And
Mike, I think what I'm referring to is like on the front, not the rear elevation. Those don't really matter to me very much. But the front elevation that the public's going to see, you've got a double window on one side. There's no other double windows on the front of this house. The other one is a single window. It's not proportioned in the middle. It's kind of tucked over there on the side. The front entrance door doesn't seem to be in keeping with the historic nature of the two-story house. You know, this is really becoming an addition to a two-story historic house in our town, and it needs to look appropriate to the building that it's tying into. And right now, it just feels like it's just kind of been stuck over there, and exactly what it is, a carport that's being filled in as inexpensively as possible.
well, certainly we're not.
Detailing that the header is odd and unusual for it to project out past. There's just a lot of oddities here that I just don't think are enhancing the architecture of the town in the historic district.
And I would just follow up exactly on what Tim's saying, is that the end elevation where you have one window which is in the middle but not centered under the opening above. And it's just so close to being centered, but not quite, that it just is, it just feels, it does feel haphazard.
Mm-hmm.
And you're referring to
It's not balanced.
and you're referring to once again, the front elevation, the double window on the right?
And the single window on the left, right? They're completely not in keeping with the existing house. And look at the existing house and the symmetry of the existing house and how the windows are all proportionally placed equally and the same up and down. And then look at the addition that you're proposing and how they're just randomly placed. And, you know, they're placed in conjunction with the interior, not with the exterior aesthetics. And, you know, at least the windows that face the street and that you can see from the street need to be proportional to the house.
All right, well, that'll probably mean doing something with the floor plan as well to make that happen. And then as far as the outside, so obviously brick is not what you're liking. So I mean, I think there's only one other option, and that's board and batten. And you know, we drew it out on there and it really, I don't know, but I mean, you know, we're going to do whatever y'all want us to do ultimately. So I think is what you're saying is you want the outside to be board and batten, and that's kind of that. And then, you know, straighten out the windows as best we can.
it's part of what we're not getting across that the windows don't balance. There's a wide one, the door is not in the middle, there's a narrow one on the other side. Is there a way that you can balance those to make them similar instead of having them, as he said, just plopped up?
I think
Um,
like one of the issues in making this look right is going to be trying to deal with the fact that that addition is on grade.
is on grade, right?
And you cannot make it
Yeah, that
uh,
front,
match up with,
the front door is never going to look right
right,
because it's at grade and it shouldn't be at grade. It should be elevated, just like the house is elevated. And then you've got these windows that are, one side's shorter, one side's longer. So there's a lot of challenges there, Mike. This might take a good architect to figure out a good solution here to tie this all together somehow.
Well, sure. So it sounds like in order to make the windows work, we're going to need to try to manipulate the floor plan. I don't know exactly how we'll do that. So I don't know what we'll do there, but certainly we can look at trying to do something different with the windows. And then with the front door, I mean, you're talking about the front door being on grade.
But Mike, in the front door this is all one house, right? So the front door is on the porch. This isn't the front door, right?
Correct.
And so, maybe the door needs to be on the side of the house or on the back of the house instead of the front of the house where the public sees it, because there's already a front door. I'm not sure what's going on in the house. It seems like it's another apartment, but I don't know. I'm not sure, but that's not the inside's not our purview. It's just the outside.
Right. No, it's definitely a master bedroom, suite, bathroom, closet. And there's a sitting room that'll be off the kitchen. There'll be a gas fireplace in there off of that sitting room. So it's just an
Is that
extension
the
of the
only
house.
kitchen in the house, or is there another kitchen in the main house?
There's one kitchen. Yep.
That's the main kitchen right there. Okay.
Yeah. So it'll just, the sitting room will be right off of that.
All right.
what's the height of the posts holding that section up?
They're around 10 feet.
So
Mike,
there's a potential to go in there and put a elevated floor on the inside
sure.
to get that
And then,
appearance of that not being on grade.
right. And then building a stoop outside for the porch to step up on. And Mike, there are lots of good examples around town where that's happened, where somebody's got a front door, they've got a side door, but it's all stepped up appropriately.
Sure. If we raise that floor, yeah, we could raise the outside and then, maybe run some stairs off to the right-hand side, not straight off the front, possibly. Obviously.
But please consider whether that door is an appropriate element on the front. I don't think that we can necessarily tell you categorically one way or the other that this is what we need, because you'll need to try solutions that will make the house feel, or make the infill feel more appropriate to this house. And I don't know what the right answer is. All we know is that the door currently as it is not appropriate.
On the street facing facade,
Right.
no one who looked at it would ever believe that those are vents in the wall when the door goes down below.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's another
Just-
awkward.
A lot of things there. And Mike, when you come back, if you could have whoever your drafts person is actually draft out the elevation so that we can see the siding and the trim around the windows and everything, it'll help us really vision what you're trying to do there,
Yeah.
and also help you build it correctly as well.
Okay. So I guess one last takeaway, because Certainly when I go into these meetings, I hope to walk out and start building, and we're going to be another 30 days from now. So don't want to come back again and repeat. So I understand what we're talking about on the front door. We'll see if we can't raise that up, make that look right, or place it somewhere else. I don't know if putting it somewhere else is really an option, but if we keep it on the front, then we'll certainly try to put it on a stoop with some stairs or something, if that's possible. And then maybe we can change the floor plan around a little bit to get those windows lined up better to match the house. And it sounds like, you know, you guys would like to see a board and batten on the outside of that addition.
I think what we're really saying is that brick won't work. And we're open to looking at alternatives of which board and batten could be an option. But we really need to see it to know, will it work?
Right. Well, I don't know that there's any other option. I mean, we can't do a lap siding right against lap siding that's vinyl. So I don't think lap siding is an option at all. Which if brick's not, then I think our only option is the board and batten, which
Can you get a lap siding in wood that has the same profile as the siding that's on there in vinyl?
like I said, I think that vinyl is a small lap. I think it's around 6 inch or something. We probably could just vinyl butting right up to wood and painting it.
Right, but you could put a corner post on the inside of the trim and have the siding kill into that corner post or something. There are ways to handle that. And ultimately, you know, what we'd love to see is the vinyl siding come off this house.
Right.
And that the clapboard be exposed again in the future. So that's probably what should be, you know, the long-term goal would be to get that done.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that would look great. So.
We have to make a motion.
I think we defer it.
Yes, if you're not going to deny or approve, you would defer.
Okay. I have a motion
To
well,
defer.
do we need a motion if we're going to defer? Okay, can I have a motion to defer?
I'd like to make a motion that we defer so that Mike has a chance to represent with our thoughts.
I'll second.
Jane,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
and I, yes, also. So we'll look forward to the next presentation of an improved model.
Thanks.
All right, I'll get it put
Thank
together.
you.
Thank you for letting me
Hope
zoom
your
in on
leg
this
gets
meeting.
better.
Yeah, I would not recommend breaking your leg just to zoom in on this meeting.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is also old business. This is 520 West Second South Street.
Hey, good evening. I'm Debbie Lindsay. This is Mr. Gene Brislin. He's our structural engineer. We appeared before you all in April of this year and received final approval. But we've made a few changes we wanted you to see and consider. The changes that we've made are, we took the transoms off the front of the house. And we also removed a small window on the left elevation, right there where the garage doors are. There were 3 windows. One was in
I've
the,
never.
Mike, get on mute.
Bye-bye.
I'll do it. Yeah.
one was in the master closet, and so we removed that one small window. And then there's also in your packet a discussion of the brick skirt. We would like you to consider.
Gene, if you want to go
Yeah,
over
so,
that.
John Dumas was the original architect and he did the drawings for you guys that you approved. And so his drawings are still, all the trim and all the basics that he had on there we're still gonna follow. I took those drawings and kind of did it in a 3D to give some massing idea, but obviously mine, I didn't include all those details because John had done But it gives you an idea of what the house is gonna look like. As Doug has said, the change that we did was John had a very tall front door, it was like 9 feet to match the transom windows. And so they were not, I said, well, we'll keep the windows the same height as the transom, so the windows are same height and same lighting. It's just that we eliminated the transom. Now we do keep them on the back elevation. Yeah, we kept them back there. They seemed to work well with the door because it was a normal size door, 7 foot, I think. She's got 10 foot ceiling, so we checked it. And then I understand that John had the original drawings, which I didn't see. I saw the revised drawings he did where he had tucked the brick underneath. The problem with that is from a structural perspective, I've got to have shear walls on this thing. And I can't cantilever the floor system over and pick up the shear walls. And so there's nowhere on the perimeter I can do that and make that work. So you can do it on porches, like I think the picture from the first project had tucked in brick skirt, that was on a porch, and shear walls and everything. But on the main house, it's difficult.
You're talking about having the brick proud of the siding,
Correct.
which is probably the way we'd prefer it anyway.
Oh, okay, that's great.
No,
Haven't
we have a
haven't
guideline
we
that
had
says,
it come down to a course and then brick?
The meeting where we talked about that, but it wasn't historically accurate. Not what I preferred.
Bad
Yeah,
me.
so structurally though, I have a problem, like the brick is not structural, it is veneer. So we don't use it for strength. CMU is a load carrying component. I've got a cantilever that over 7 inches. Then just the floor system has to take all of that overturning portion, that shear wall, and it's very difficult to make that happen if I can make it happen at all. Plus, I have 2 connectors on either end of the wall to hold down. There's no way I can get it bolted sideways over to get to the CMU.
So Rachel, I've got a question for you. I'm a contractor, but I'm not a home contractor. And so we don't do this, but I know we've had lots of other applicants come before us and we've had requested this detail and they've done it. And I know you kind of do some residential. How do you guys accomplish this?
When we want a brick base, I usually do elevated homes, so it might be piers. But we then resolve that by having a fairly elaborate trim band that covers from the outside of the brick back to the house. And we've never yet had a homeowner in Somerville who wants to go to that level of trim work to really integrate a non-traditional thing of having the brick proud. So I understand your structural issue, and the way to resolve it is with a detailing that,
I mean, we could put 3 2x10s out there and really stick it out to try to cover the brick, but it's gonna look, you're just gonna have the same shelf, right? It's just gonna be from the trim as opposed to from the brick.
correct, and I think that just having and it's also weird because when I'm doing homes, they're mostly elevated. And so you have a really different proportion of the amount of brick and base to a house and then this layer of trim in the house above. Whereas these lower homes with a little piece of brick and then the step back in, it's a weird detail that's not historically accurate. And when we've talked further about this, about trying to have something appropriate for the historic district, it's not appropriate that it sticks out. There are other ways that it could be done. I mean, I think that if you had like a tabby stucco, you could create something that was authentic and it was structurally appropriate. But I think you have to go to sort of a higher level than just a CMU wall with parge on it. Like we're talking about trying to have something that fits and is appropriate in the kind of materials and finishes to go with our historic district. So those would be the kinds of things I would recommend.
So you could do it with piers and a girder between piers
Yeah.
as well.
But if you did that, you would still have trim work that would have to go from that outermost layer of brick back, like the structure is further back. But if you have like a very robust trim, it works with the scale of the brick being out that far.
Hmm.
But it takes a fairly robust trim to do that, and it isn't just a little, like a little cap and a thing, like it needs to be robust, and a lot of these homes aren't tall enough to take that robust trim or have the budget to do that level of robust trim.
So historically, and I mean, we had the earthquake here in 1886, right? But, in terms of us designing houses to do structural resistance to let, it started basically in 2000 with the introduction of the International Residential Code.
Right,
Prior to that, when you were in the cable code or whatever, there was an high wind supplement, but we didn't have this stuff. So prior to say 1960, there was no low reason you could tuck it under there and nobody would say anything. The current conditions based on risk aversion and codes that have been developed.
or even before then, we use brick as a structural pier instead of a
Well,
veneer.
those buildings downtown. are
Correct.
Not brick is designed, right? But generally, I can tell you, I've been doing engineering a long time and I've designed very few, besides the rotary sign I did, I've designed very few brick structures
Right,
as you would see in the 1920s or
right,
1930s.
yeah.
And
And-
I'd like you to consider too, we are taking out as few trees as possible. So, there will be shrubbery in front of the house. You will never see the brick grow up. You would have to really come in and go between the shrubs to even see it. It's just not going to be sticking out there for people to view. You think about that.
All the other details were staying the same as John's drawings. I know your elevations don't show that, but
No, they're exactly the same as John's, and I've
Okay.
got those. I think they were submitted last time you guys approved them, but yes.
Do you
those were not-
do you have the elevations that the John drew?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to refresh my memory on what we looked at.
So you can just flip the pages there. I just folded. There you go. Yeah, those are good.
Other than removing the transom, are the windows still the same size?
Everything else. is the same.
Okay, the windows weren't smaller, the transoms just got removed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same size window. We just eliminated the transom.
Thank you. Maybe it's just your drawing. They certainly look smaller.
Well, the intent is to keep them the exact same size, but no, they are the same size. I mean,
But-
although I didn't have digital drawings of John's, I had a PDF.
Mhm.
For that, but they match his. in terms of size.
Are you saying that the windows are the same size and you just took off the transoms? So the height is,
The height of the window includes the additional 12 inches of the transom.
I understand, okay.
So the new windows are actually larger than the old windows. They're taller. Rachel, you have the book there. Look, compare those. They seem small in this elevation relative to the other one.
Yeah. They do.
Well, I can tell you the intent is they're going to be the same as John.
Okay,
So regardless of, I don't think I made a mistake, but if I did, that's okay. We're going to follow John. In terms of, and that window is just going to be taller to compensate for the train.
okay. All right, great.
What is the profile that you're proposing for the,
It would just be a roll lock on there. If I'm not mistaken, that was John's first.
Which we said no,
I'm sorry.
and that was not approved.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Without any consideration of structure.
I mean, I would rather that we don't have brick if if we just have this like roll lock on top. And that you look at a different foundation material.
didn't understand you.
Beth, would you pass it? Right now from me?
I'm not the architect. My corner is aesthetics and, aesthetically, I'd be okay with this, especially if there are bushes to screen the difference in what we'd like to see in perfection and what is workable.
But Jean, I want to clarify, that elevation was not actually what you want to do, was it? Like, you've changed the windows, but won't the brick be out from the face of the house above? So the brick then insets?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right, so the elevation as drawn is not what we're,
It may not be, I will have to go back and look at it. No, that's correct. That is not. There would be a
Right.
bump out on the left.
so
and the
when
right.
you're saying that
Yes, that's correct.
you like that elevation, that's not what he wants.
So on the left side and on the right side, there would be a little bump out, right, at the foundation.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Mhm.
And then on the
Mhm.
side where it gets even taller, you'll
Mhm.
have,
So it'd be
a bigger-
3 inch, 3 and 5/8, or maybe 4 inch bump out on the left and right. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's just-
on one side.
it's right around there.
Option we've used some other places are thin brick. They're actually brick that are adhered to the foundation wall and they actually get mortared in. So they have the appearance of real brick. They just are only what, a ½ inch thick or something like that.
It's a feasible solution with a smaller trim, band at the top.
Right.
So that's an option we could do to keep the brick and satisfy the structural requirement.
And you can get those thin brick in almost any brick color or shape or whatever you've picked out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Are they not more subject to cracking and?
No, not really, because they're real brick material. So it's not a faux brick. It's just the brick face has been cut off and then you adhere it to the wall.
Quality.
Yeah. I haven't had an experience where I've had failure with that. But-
we've used them, Tim, and they're really effective. And I understand it feels like it should be flimsier, but honestly, when it's up, it's virtually impossible to tell that it's not a full-size brick. And especially if you're putting it on CMU, it will have that stability of the CMU behind it. It's a good solution.
The brick is not going to be a supporting structure anyway, is it?
No.
I mean, yeah,
It's just
so it's,
decorative.
The finish
Mhm.
inside.
mhm.
Just have to be very thick, right? So.
That sounds like
the old
very
days had
good.
some heat purposes for it, right? And so,
Mhm.
but on the skirt, it doesn't have any purpose. except
Right.
for kids.
I believe that would be a better overall solution if you guys are okay with that. Think it's going to leave this detailing back by the garage in keeping and looking better. And especially with the band details that John had drawn originally, that's going to keep in proportion and look correct with what we already approved. I don't really have a problem with the windows losing the transom and the windows getting larger. It appears that the way you drew them are smaller, so as long as the details and the window sizes stay the same,
So.
I don't have any problem with that.
So, duplicate what he had, so,
Right.
Did the best we could, but I mean, we will go back and make sure that we match his wrong.
You're planning to have an encapsulated crawl space? Will the thinner brick still be?
It shouldn't affect
Shouldn't make
that.
any difference.
It's just decorative, yes. Either brick is just decorative.
He's going to lengths to make it structurally sound
Yes.
with the new stuff. So the brick is just looking good.
You want to make a motion, Tim?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve the revised window package to omit the transoms, but all windows to remain the size of the original submission, all trim details to remain as originally submitted, not as shown on these plans, and the conversion of the brick from full brick to thin brick profile.
Have a second?
I,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Beth,
Yes.
Rachel?
Yeah.
Nancy Jean?
Yes.
And I, yes, also.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, now we have another old business piece, 105 Hansberry Lane.
I do have one letter to read for this one, so I'll just read it real quick, short. This is from Miss Mary Buchanan. I'm not in favor of vinyl on Hansberry Lane, where in the historic district and guidelines should be followed and not set a precedent. Once the BAR gives approval, the plan should be followed. I have no problem with changing the front door as long as no vinyl is used. Thank you, Mary Buchanan.
Okay,
So Heath, if you just want to explain what,
Yeah, we're gonna start with the doors or the.
yeah, we can start with the door.
Okay. So originally with the door, it's pretty, basically I've taken out the side lighting or the side, I guess, side transoms.
Side lights.
Okay, side lights. So I apologize on that, but me and my wife, I guess we've taken a look at it. It came time to order the door. And we kind of have, the way our house is we have a big vault, like they run straight down the middle of the house. And we kind of actually want a little bit more privacy, and so we don't, I guess we really just care to have the side light there. It's the reason for us removing it. And yeah, so we left the transom up top. We still want to keep the same, do like it's like a wood stain finish on a fiberglass door. So everything about the door stays the same. We just removed the side lighting.
Was the fiberglass door approved? Becca?
I believe it was a clad door that was approved, but I can double check.
Okay.
But it was approved as shown in the first elevation that I had pulled up. And then this is the proposed.
anybody have any comments on this?
On the door?
Yeah.
No, I'm fine with the door.
I think the new door in that location looks a little dinky. And that it could use to be a little wider, but it almost looks like a kitchen door or something. How do you feel, Tim?
I mean, I think the side lights are more attractive.
Yeah.
But I don't know that had it been submitted that way originally, I probably wouldn't have picked it up and complained and said anything about it.
And you want a solid vinyl door
It's a fiberglass door, and then it
or
will,
fiberglass?
yes, sir, and then it will have a wood stain finish because we want it to look like a real wood door.
For some reason, I thought those were not allowed in the historic district.
I thought we were discouraging them.
No, composite selections are, it basically says case by case situation, so. But vinyl is, yes, discouraged.
From the street, it won't look like a vinyl door though.
Well, it's fiberglass.
It's
Sorry.
fiberglass.
Any comments?
Was there anything else that we were discussing besides the door?
The fascia and the soffits that were installed are
Fascia.
No.
vinyl when they were approved to be hardy plank. Better picture here.
And the siding on the house is hardy plank,
That's
right?
correct. Yes, ma'am.
And we approved the hardy plank.
You did approve the hardy plank and that's where, that's correct. That's, the issue I had is I didn't list, vinyl for the soffits and then, aluminum for the fascia. I wasn't aware that I needed to be specific on listing the material, for this area. And so my builder, so the next door neighbor who is on the corner, I don't know if we have the map, is the property map, who's on the corner, Mr. Campo, so he has, exactly what I'm doing. He has hardy plank siding and then he has aluminum, fascia as well as, vinyl soffits. There's also, I mean, if you drive throughout the area, throughout the historic district, there's you could find it. Actually, a lot of my neighboring houses have, except for Miss Bouchane who lives, she is directly next door. Hers is all wood, but there's aluminum fascia and then as well as vinyl soffits down in the historic district. So I did not, I wasn't trying to, I don't know, find a workaround. I just didn't see an issue with it until I was made known. And then, as you can see, we have started the work. And when I was, Beck let me know, she did email me. You know, we did stop.
There's certainly, as in the past, there's been a lot of vinyl. It's one of the things in the last 5 or 6 years we've tried to steer away from
Yes.
significantly. And I kind of feel like it's an important detail. And I'm willing to say, okay, on, this is my personal opinion, okay on the door, but the soffits, I kind of feel like need to be hardy. And I think it's this level of standard that we've kind of adopted for the historic district.
Even though the neighboring properties don't follow those same guidelines. And I'm not trying to, you know, certainly I don't care really what other people do on their property. You know, that's,
Yeah.
that's their right between y'all and them. You know, I'm not trying to, but
You know, we can't undo the past.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you know, just like the historic house with the blue vinyl siding we looked at earlier, we
yes, sir.
can't make them take it off, but we would never approve it going forward.
Yes.
And so, you know, this is one of those cases where new houses in the historic district, we just don't approve any kind of vinyl on them. And so that's kind of where I've been personally, I think where the board has been personally.
Would you
Yeah.
require him to take it off?
Yeah, so just so you're, aware, so where we're at, if it does come down and we have to go the hardy plank route, I've been priced for it, it will be, it will cost us an extra $4,400 to put hardy plank as well as for the soffits and the fascia. Include the paint.
Right.
And so, I mean, yeah, but me and my builder, I mean, we just weren't aware of it, considering neighboring houses. I mean, there's actually a garage that's behind me on the corner back there, and the whole garage is completely vinyl. I understand, you know, vinyl doesn't have the best reputation, and I'm not, you know, I don't want a vinyl house. That's why, you know, I'm gonna put hardy plank around the house. As you can see, me and my wife are trying to put together a quality house. We've done we tried to take the right step to do that. And we're not looking to take shortcuts either, you know, I mean, we're putting a metal roof on the house, you know, the brick. You know, I had to go a little bit over budget to make sure I got a brick that I thought, you know, had a classic historic look. we're not looking to take shortcuts, but, in this situation, yeah, I do apologize, I wasn't aware. Considering neighboring houses and other houses down in the historic district have, exactly what I'm putting on my house. Specifically, the one right next door to me has exactly what I'll be doing.
Yeah, one of the problems that we have is we've had very little enforcement up to this point, and a lot of work has been done that was different than what we approved. And there was no enforcement
Yes, sir.
mechanism. The town didn't have anybody that went around and looked at sites before they were completed, and often didn't even look at them after they were completed. So what we approved often wasn't what it was executed in the field. And that accounts for some of the stuff you see around. And, we're trying to correct that. And so some people may have to pay the price for our trying to correct what's been overlooked in the past.
Again, the meeting minutes from their approval, how is it addressed? How is this addressed?
So I went back through all of the documents and the soffit and fascia weren't specifically addressed. I know at the meeting it was approved. We didn't have all of the board members here. It wasn't specifically addressed, but it was assumed by myself and the board who was present that it was to be hardy because that was the sample shown.
Mhm.
Just for everyone's information, I'm having our software support team edit the BAR application. So now it's going to be required that you put every single material listed on the application because to avoid things like this.
Mhm.
So I understand y'all's side, but from my side, I wasn't aware.
Yep.
That specific piece needed to be listed in that material, and that was in the environment builder. Then at this point, we come to an agreement on, the contract that we have in place. And that was what being, agreed upon. So.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve it as it is, even though final isn't preferred. Same thing from the aesthetic point. It looks fine. I know it's not the historic type, but I hate to see it ripped up and changed when he's done the best he could with hardy plank and the metal roof. So that's just my opinion, is the aesthetics one.
I also feel the same way that you do, that if it wasn't addressed and they didn't know, then if he'd have known, then they might have put the right material on.
And Beth,
I'm thinking.
Jen?
Feel like I know the building materials were listed on the contract or the plans that you gave us to approve. And it was all listed there because I always read through all the materials to make sure they're up to par and what we would approve. So we're not wasting your time or our time. So I feel like, that's what we approved. We knew that that was on there. And I feel like our job in Somerville is to be responsible stewards of continuing a level of the historic district.
Yes, ma'am.
And with that being said, I don't know.
And that's what we were trying to, we mirrored a lot, houses in the historic district. That's where, I think, I mean, y'all mentioned that a couple times. We want you to fit in. We want you to, it be representative of the historic district. And I don't know how I'm supposed to, know any different. Obviously, looking back, I wish I would. I wish I would present.
But I think we really worked with you in the very beginning with the garage because we weren't real sure about the garage being attached to the house.
Big-
And wasn't that,
Yeah, I think,
Wait.
one other thing comes to mind is our architect on the board recused herself because apparently she was engaged on this project. What was her recommendation for materials in
For
your
the-
original plan?
The fascia and soffit, I honestly don't know. I don't know if it was discussed, and if it was, as you can tell, this is my first time building a house. This isn't like,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a while, so, she might have mentioned it. Ms. Burton was very kind to meet with me and work with me. I have, nothing but, positive things to say about her. I don't know if it was mentioned. That's my,
She's pretty detail oriented.
Yes, sir. And I'm sure she might have covered it, but I can truthfully look at you and tell you that if she did, I didn't go against, let me try to see if I can see this past.
No.
So back on the original plans, did it not, was it not called out? I know in the meeting minutes, it wasn't called out.
No, it was just on a material sheet that listed, what the windows were going to look like. It had a little, picture and said James Hardy plank for the siding. But no, it didn't.
Nowhere
call out.
was there an eave detail that it called it out or said. Did it show a profile or anything like that?
Did she do the architectural building plans?
Well, I don't think those were ever,
She provided me information on, what she thought was best. We basically came to agree on what she was.
Okay,
She was, we were basically working together. She was like, this is kind of what I think.
she stepped in
Yes,
after
and
you'd
I
originally
took it.
designed. Okay.
Yes. I took it.
because these are the original elevation.
Can you blow those up as best you can?
Yeah.
So that detailing that I see up there with the corbels and the brackets and stuff, how are you making those with vinyl?
The portal will not be vinyl. You're talking about those the brackets?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Those will not be vinyl.
And then the freeze board, that's the board that runs up the rake of the gable.
You're talking about the soffit of it? Is that?
Well, you have the soffit and then you have what's called the freeze board, which is the board right against that. Is that going to be hardy? So you have the fascia board, then you have the soffit, then you have the freeze board.
Okay.
So you see the freeze board is the one,
Yeah, so that little one right below it.
it would be this board right here. So this is your fascia board, and this is what's called the freeze board sometimes.
Yes, sir.
Is that going to be hardy? I think so.
don't-
I understand.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. I
I
understand.
can't give you. Yes.
Sure. I understand. All right, David, looks like you get to decide.
Oh, we have a motion and a second.
I don't think we have them.
And
Yeah. Motion is, okay,
Okay.
so let's have a vote then.
Okay, Tim,
And the motion was to approve, right?
Approve as is.
approve,
All right, I'm gonna say yes.
yes. No. Yes.
yes, but with the caveat that it not be come the rule that people ask permission, forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the only reason we're doing it is because it wasn't perfectly clear in the original submission.
And it sounds like
From
Becca
us or
has
from
come up
Becca.
with a solution to
Yes.
avoid that in the future.
And normally we ask that question, but I can't remember this specific time. So I can't remember asking that question. So,
That's on us.
yeah,
I think it was just assumed because it had a material sheet.
it
so-
said Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Becca, I agree with that, by the way. But, okay, thank you.
Good.
Good luck.
What do we decide about the door?
No, Heath, wait a second, they
Oh, then we didn't vote on the door
vote
yet.
on the door.
All about like, I said yes, all, but that's too
Make you sweat some more.
Well, I'm gonna say, since we didn't change the thing, maybe we should keep the front door, because the front door is more attractive as originally drawn. And it's already framed up that way too. You already got the larger opening framed up. Looking at your photographs.
So for us, it's not it's a privacy, it's a, there's, I don't know if you've had a chance, some of you.
Oh, yeah.
Have walked, and by the way, that's fine, people going, but there's a huge, there's a big vault that runs right through the middle of my house.
Well, you've got a big glass
Door,
door
yeah.
on there,
Yeah, that's correct. Correct, so
And-
that's what, and that's correct. So
but
we wanna add-
the way you overcome the privacy issues with side glasses is you put sheer curtains up
Mhm.
on, you still get the light, but you don't have the visibility for peeping toms.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's just, it's a preference, and on this, I mean, is there a rule that states going with one door? I mean, over the other?
There's a rule, it's just what's already been submitted and approved,
Yes, sir.
so. So mine's gonna be no on the door.
Say it again.
No on the
Tim's
check.
giving me a
Yeah.
one, two.
I'm giving you a 1 for 2. I'm giving you $4,000 on the soffit. That's right.
So this.
Swayed me on that one.
You're, that's gonna be an extra $3,000. That's gonna cost on the side transit that we don't, that we don't want,
Yeah.
no matter not.
The front door of a house is an important element.
Yes,
And it makes the front door, and side lights enhance the.
I've
look.
got side lights and an oval glass, and I have had to dash also from to my bedroom because you can see straight through my house. However, it looks great from both inside and outside. I think you'll be happier with the side lights in the future, even if you're spending more money on it. It'll even itself out over 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, it will. You'll get used to the neighbor seeing you in your underwear.
We didn't make you take down the vinyl.
I have the same thing, so I wouldn't say if I didn't have it as well.
okay. Chad, you want to make a motion?
You do it
Do we need to?
for the door.
Sure. I would make the motion that we decline the substitute door and we keep the original design.
A second?
He's second.
No, I can't.
Oh, you can't. I'll second then.
Okay. Jane,
Abstain.
Beth,
I agree. Yes.
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 On the door.
Side lights.
Yeah, you gotta put the door in.
All right, now we're actually in new business.
Wow.
213 South Laurel.
I'm scared now.
And Mr. Haskell, if you want me to show a specific image, just let me know. Do you just want to explain the scope of work?
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What we want to do is put a shed in, back to the house behind the deck along the, where you can see where it's written on there. We have limited space in our home. We have one room is completely full of stuff. Underneath the house is full of stuff. We need to have some place to store these things. Right where you see the Honda and the old truck is the approximate location of where that shed is going to go. We're trying to build it so it matches aesthetically the same as the outside of the house. We're going to use hardy board siding, wood fascia, hardy board. We don't intend on putting any windows in it right at this time. We are going to put 136x8 door on the left side so we walk in. And we want to put two or on the end facing towards the house. Barn door style doors so we can get stuff in on there.
Are those barn doors on tracks or is that on hinges?
They'll be on tracks, is the
Okay.
intention.
I have no doubt that you're going to do a good job with this because you've done a fantastic job with the house. But the drawings that you presented do not show the detail of the freeze board or
There's a
that.
separate addition to this at the end that has all the explanations of how we plan on doing that. Specific drawing. For this box right there. The blank that I apologize.
That kind of describes how it's going to be built, but not necessarily on how it's going to be finished.
Okay, like I said, next year it'll be hardy board trim. The roof will be asphalt shingles to match.
But the trim details are absent from the drawings, although I have no doubt you're going to do it right, but I would like to,
David, could we say something like the trim details will match the house? And as long as he matches the proportions and sizes of the house?
Yep.
Facing the street, is there anything on, is that the side with the door or is that side completely blank?
That side, except for the door, is just gonna be hardy board.
Okay.
Is the existing house siding with an 8-inch exposure?
As I can tell, it's built in 1913, so whatever that standard was then. Very close. I measured it, it was like 7.5, 7.4. Kind of odd.
Now the elevations kind of look like you're doing board and batten. Is it board and batten or is it lap siding?
That is, but trying to do something more modern for longevity. And I would advise that the hardy board would probably be the best thing to do.
All right, so are you proposing the board and batten then or lap siding?
That's hardy board's lot side.
Well, Hardy makes board and batten too. So Hardy's a brand. They make, yeah, I understand. Hardy's a brand name.
well,
Yeah. I
If
see
you-
what you're saying.
if you look at the picture that I assume's up there, yeah, too, you see the detail at the roof edge and around the top of the clapboard and at the corner.
And also at the base.
Those are the kinds of details we'd want replicated.
So
Wouldn't even know where to start. That was all handmade.
No,
no,
that's
you
just
can
that,
use stock material. They just have to be appropriate, approximately the same proportions.
that's just a board with probably what, a 1/2 inch cove or 1 inch cove beneath it, Tim? And
Yeah, it's hard to tell
2x4 on the
exactly.
corner.
Looks like the fascia might be a little bit odd, something different. I can't really tell in that picture what's going on with the fascia. But I think the intent is not that it has to be exactly, but approximately the same, just for what you can find in current lumber sizes.
It's gonna
Right.
be,
I think
Clapboard
the
horizontal.
important things is that you've got a freeze board, that's that board at the top that you see running. You have trim around the windows and or doors, and you have, Becca, if you'll go to the side elevation. And then down a little further. Right, but you see how there's a baseboard at the bottom there too. So all those elements are what gives it its look, the character.
That's what I was trying to.
Right.
okay.
So as long as you match those details, yeah. If you match those details on the shed, generally that works pretty good.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Trying to match it as close as possible. Pre-constructed look. I've seen some of the sheds around town. Going on certain blocks.
Right.
We just walk by and go, how?
Yeah. Exactly. That's what we're trying to avoid.
If you need more detail, I can get architect, I guess. Draw these. So
As long as you understand what we're asking and do.
I absolutely do understand. I think we're all.
Okay. And it's just to try and replicate the proportions and the detailing, which is very simple on a clapboard house.
Sure.
And the drawing you had vertical, but you're gonna do it lap siding.
Yeah, that was just studs.
Okay.
You said you can give me a.
Just to make sure.
but
Mhm.
This,
Do I have a motion?
And the colors will match the main
so
house.
we can make house colors. We have paint left over from one of his. So I have the colors for. It. We'll go
Perfect.
show the way to get those matched.
All right, would you like me to make the motion?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the shed as submitted with the caveat that the siding and all the trim details match the existing house. That the soffit and everything is made out of hardy board, all the exterior materials, and that the colors match the existing house as well.
Second?
I'll
Anyone?
second.
Okay. Beth,
Yes.
Rachel,
Does someone want to speak?
Nancy Jean,
What size is it? How big?
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be 16 by 22.
16 by 20.
300.
one story,
One story.
and it cannot be converted into a house later on.
That's not our purview. We just look at the exterior details. Becca can answer that question, maybe.
They would have to meet certain requirements with the structure, and it would depend on the use. I mean, if it was just if you did update it inside and wanted someone to stay back there, you would have to get a special use permit to rent it out, a lodging permit, just like they would have to go through all the extra zoning processes to get that approved. But I don't necessarily think you want to put anyone in there.
We don't even have electricity going.
Okay.
At least not at this time.
I'd want some more windows, I think, so.
Mm.
But yes, they would have to go through a separate approval process for that.
Okay. We have voted and approved.
Yes. I haven't.
Oh, I thought you had. Okay. We now have voted and approved. So
Thank you. Good luck.
go for it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next project is 1107 South Main.
Rodney, and this is Jillian. Our first time, so we're not sure.
Just tell me if you want me to jump to a specific page. Just tell me if you want me to jump to a specific view or page
Start out with the,
Do we have a photo of the house?
of the new house that you're building.
We submitted one, I think, within the packet.
What?
In all of
Lot of photos.
brochures.
Yeah, I
was
mean,
the
that's-
Joe and.
I have to include everything that's submitted, by the way, so I apologize for the length of the agenda.
Yes.
It's okay.
280 pages.
So
Uh,
in any event, this is Southern Living House Plan. It was built, no, it's not.
Okay,
It
Don't
was
think that's-
originally built for, Parkinson's, for Parkinson's disease. And, for Southern Living, and all the proceeds from the plans benefit Parkinson's disease.
It's up.
In any event, it's been
Up
built
here.
one time in
at the
Haversham,
top.
which is outside of Beaufort, South Carolina, if you're familiar with that.
It-
And
it's in the
that's kind of
packet.
an old south community with
Oh,
that
now it's
old
freezing on
south
me.
type look. And so that's why we
Okay.
selected it.
Yep.
For this area.
Yeah, that would go.
I thought we had submitted a photo for you to see the finished build. That is the front elevation of it.
Now, if you look at the side details, you can see the surrounding of the, your fascia board. So we're doing hardy siding. All the fascia and soffit is hardy.
It's a tabby foundation.
And the chimney? What
Will
is
be
it?
tabby.
as well, yeah. Now, the only thing, I had the arborist come out after we submitted, and the detached garage, we're gonna have to move back. We have a lot of trees on the property.
There's a 100-year-old hickory and a 100-year-old oak, so we want to obviously keep those. So what will happen is it'll still be a detached garage, but the breezeway will no longer be.
And the garage will be moved back.
Yeah, it looks
Away
like,
from the trees.
like 75 feet back.
Yeah, oh yeah, going all the way back.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
They,
If you, let's see,
y'all have to go through some kind of a variance for the setback requirement there on the garage.
no, we're within. the
It's a
setback.
detached assembly, so it has
10
different rules for setbacks.
Okay,
yeah, it's 10 feet.
okay, good.
Are we reviewing the garage today?
The whole.
The whole thing.
Okay, so it's the same garage, just located back there. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
They're wood clad window with SDL grids and shadow bars.
Great.
We won't have screens in front of the house.
The front door is mahogany. The rear doors are also wood clad.
It's a great looking house.
I wish you could see a photo of it.
Yeah, I wish we did.
I read the article about your home in Beaufort and saw the photos. It's a really beautiful home.
Thank you. And actually, we, on a whim, we decided to go down to Haversham and I said, we're gonna find this house. We had no idea where it was. And so we went around and we looked around Haversham for about an hour and there was a lady that was walking her dog. And we asked her, hey, have you heard about this adaptive cottage? And she said, oh, yeah. Let me climb in and I'll take you right to it. So she climbed in the truck and she took us to the house. And we boldly knocked on the door. And the people that were living there. And they gave us a tour of the house.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, it was fantastic to see
Nice.
something that's already been.
Well, it's also nice to see architectural drawings that are complete.
Yeah, I
As
would
far as-
Oh, especially like to compliment you on that because it's so much easier for us to actually see all the architectural details, see the proportions, see, what the foundations are, how it all works. Like it makes such a difference.
We're very excited.
Yeah.
I do have one question to ask, if you could go to the side elevation where the detached garage is at.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's important or not, but it shows barn doors on the side. Since it's gonna be so far back on the lot, I decided to close that in. Instead of just putting barn doors just for security.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's something I need to.
I thank you for mentioning it. It's okay. Suits me. Okay. Yeah. One question back to the house. The distance from the ground to the first floor or to the porch, 24 inches. Okay, great. Thank you.
Is this going to be built on crawl space?
It'll be a raised slab.
24-inch raised slab. With tabby finish.
Well, I make a motion, we approve.
Oh,
See what happens when you come with decent plans.
Awesome.
That's just the motion.
Do I have a motion?
I'll second it.
Jane,
Yes, I approve.
Beth,
Yes, I approve. I loved all the attention to the details.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
and I, yes.
Good luck, guys. Looking
You have
forward
to
to
give
seeing
us a
it.
tour though when you finish. You have to give us a tour when you finish.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck. Thanks.
And the next one is 918 South Main.
Hello, I'm Jason, Peterson, representing the Robinsons on. Fourth edition on the back.
I'm gonna ask you to raise the microphone a little. I'm a little old lady hard of hearing.
There we go. Right, so there's the main house, basically the screen porch is going directly on the back. There's already a small, mud room, that was, attached, to the house. So we're going to basically enlarge that and just pulling the back of the house out about 16 feet. With, keeping the same elevations of the soffit, the fascia. It does have vinyl siding on the house. We're going to try to match that. With, it's an almond Dutch lap type siding. There's a picture of the front, the house. There's a picture of the rear existing. That one bump out there on the left is, the mud room that was added on that will sort of, that's coming off and becoming, new, if you will. That only comes out about, 10 feet and the new part will be 16 feet. And then to fill in that inset corner there will be a screened in porch. 6x6s on the corners, standard 2x2 pickets and handrails on the inside of the screen porch with vinyl screen door on the back. We're going to use the Screen Ease product. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a small detail with the screen instead of the old wider vinyl stuff. So it gives it a lot cleaner look. Around the bottom of it, we'll have, we'll match the existing with lattice and brick piers. Probably gonna go ahead with the thin brick veneers over the CMU blocks to mimic that same look. I think there's another close picture of that back on it.
Is any of this visible from the street?
I don't know.
And I visited the site because I was turned around trying to figure it out and that's the comment I was gonna make is none of it's visible from the right of way.
And what's the age of the existing house? 1945. So underneath that vinyl, there's
Yeah, probably some
Wood.
view.
clapboard. And what were the windows, the new windows?
One window that we're gonna propose to put on the back.
And that would be either a double hung with a vinyl double hung if possible, just because it's not seen,
Mhm.
with the wide trim on the sides to match the rest of the house.
Right. The
And it says picture window there because that was sort of the first thought. And that window would be approximately 48 inches wide, about the same in height.
How much siding are we adding? We're adding it on three sides or how many? Do you have?
Just basically that one part there that's it's about 12 feet wide and that's about 16 feet,
Mhm.
which was currently, now it's, about 10 feet. So we're adding about 6 feet on. And to the one back picture there that showed, so not adding very much. And to be honest with you, there's that whole right side of that where that tankless water heater is, all that is coming down and can more than likely use that so that it's the exact same side.
Any discussion? Have a motion?
All the posts,
Mhm.
and stuff will be painted white.
I think on the windows, just make sure they're the simulated divided light. I
Sure.
think the vinyl's okay, but it just needs to be the simulated divided light, not the snap-in grids on the inside only. So they got outside and inside grids.
Doable.
I mean, I guess the only question that I'll throw out there for is, it is a 1945 home, so that means there probably is wood siding underneath. And so this could be an opportunity that the new addition be done in hardy. So that eventually, hopefully the vinyl siding would eventually go away. So that may be the only thing that I could see to consider. I know that normally on the back of the house, I don't have too much concern about what goes on back there, but it would be nice to eventually see this get returned. Because that 1945 house is a pretty historic house these days.
Becca,
So-
what is the rating of this house?
There is no rating for it. It wasn't included in the survey that SHPO did.
When was the SHPO survey done?
79 and 96. 96, yeah.
96. So it's
Is this the house by 5 Points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are like 2 or 3 cottages right
Yes.
there together.
mm,
920, yellow house, I believe.
it's a cute house.
Yeah.
So you walk back through, there's a doorway here and you walk back into where the porch area is.
Mhm.
I want to say we approved the garage many years ago.
What?
I think we approved the garage many years ago. That looks. I may have been thinking about a different project.
The garage is vinyl siding as well.
And I
You-
mean, for what we're gonna have to remove, I can put back with the original, siding, so that it, matches completely on the exterior.
For the vinyl, you mean?
Yes. So almost like you never even knew it.
Right. But you're adding, so you're gonna have to have some new material
On that inside.
on that
wall,
one side wall.
Yeah.
Right, then you have the back and the other side wall, correct? So,
Siding was being removed.
right. Yeah, I'm not, yeah, whatever you guys think, it's okay. It's the back of the house.
I'll make a motion that we approved as submitted, just reusing your existing vinyl siding.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Tim,
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
all right, good luck. Thanks.
Yeah.
and the final project is 119 North Chestnut.
All right. My name is Danny Gilbert. I'm a general contractor. My client is Amy back in the back. We're a little bit different than everybody else because we're not asking for an add-on or to build something new. We're just trying to repair what we have. At the same time, Amy lost her husband this past year. She's found out that the whole stucco system that's on her house is failing. So it has parapets. You see on the roof, there's the parapet walls. And all we're asking is to tear those parapets down, and they're rotten anyway, but to tear those down, put in an overhang, 16-inch overhang, and then do the house up with stucco soffit, stucco fascia, stucco 6-inch lap. Not stucco, excuse me. Hardy, I'm sorry.
The Hardy.
The only place that we would not do that would be on the crawl space. And right now, those are all foam behind those blocks there. But on the crawl space part, we're not really sure what's down there. Either the concrete block is offset, or the face of the concrete block has like a 2-inch stucco foam. So outside of that, we want to take the parapets down and do hardy on the house. Also, we would take out all the columns, the existing columns, because most of the ones on the porches are rotten, and we would use square columns like she has on this rear porch here in the back.
And
It's built in the 80s, mid-80s. Yep. So not a very good time for a stucco house. A lot of lawsuits back then, and this one probably should have been included in a lawsuit.
aren't you doing something with the rear dormers as well?
Yeah, so if you look at these 3 dormers right here, it did make a lot of sense. And those are actually vinyl. It did make a lot of sense to go back and put hardy on all those sides, add the overhang. So what we'd like to do is to just combine those into a shed, just one single shed roof off the back, give her a little bit extra space in the back for for her closets, and make it a little bit easier for maintenance.
Any window replacements here?
The upstairs windows have been replaced, but the downstairs windows have not, and they're all wood, they're true divided light, and they're rotten. So we want to come back and do something with those. We'd like to match the ones on the second floor, but those are vinyl, so we're at your mercy on the windows. The front door would be the same. We would replace the front door with a like front door wood. The side lights, the transom, all that would be the same.
Yeah, when it comes to windows, eventually we would want those to be simulated divided lights or true divided light windows. Regardless
Wood or
of what they're
vinyl?
made out of.
Yes, sir, but wood or vinyl, what would you?
Hmm?
We have vinyl on the second floor.
Right,
We're
you
asking,
indicated that you might want to change.
we do need to
things those
change
out in
all
the
all the windows. We do need to change those. I'm asking, what would you require? Would you require those to be wood, or would you require those to be wood clad, or would you want those to match the upper ones with the vinyl? We would maintain the same grid pattern, which I believe is like 6/6 or.
Right.
Well,
I never.
I believe in the past, we've approved vinyl windows that they have to have the simulated divided light.
Sure,
That's
sure.
the main thing.
Yeah, no problem.
So no snapping grids and not inside and outside.
100%. I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah. And there will also be a color change. That would be the last caveat if it could. We had a designer that came up with a color palette. And so we would use, again, there's a smooth hardy, all hardy trim,
and then the color palette that is chosen there.
And same thing on the soffit, or all the soffits and eaves going to be redone in Hardy as well?
Yeah, except for the porch wood, it's regular, it's true beadboard. We're gonna
Right.
try to fix that. and
Leave that
make it-
alone. Sure,
Keep that.
sure.
Which are the two?
She doesn't like the yellow. That's what she's saying.
I like both of them, so you. I mean,
Where's the other one?
That's the first one.
Palette one, and then there's one more.
One like white with like off-white shutters and then, that one's more like a gray with dark gray. On top of all.
Can you go to the first one again, Bethel?
Darker shutters may look nice. Look at that.
Here she comes.
Do you prefer one or the other?
I have a slight preference for that one. I tested it out in front of the house and it looks nice.
I think palette one is like a very classic and timeless design with the white siding and the slightly, you know, more creamy color for the shutters, and the front door and the porch ceilings are nice. Like sometimes porch ceilings are too blue, and this is nice.
She has operable shutters on all the windows. We're gonna keep those.
Okay.
So. Just don't want the parapet or the stucco.
Yeah.
I can relate, yeah.
I can relate to that. Well, I'm happy to make a motion unless somebody else wants to. Well, I'd say we would make a motion to approve as submitted with the caveat that the replacement windows have to have a simulated true divided light. Not true divided light, but simulated divided light. And that the color palette one was a selection.
Can I just preference on the crawl space?
Sure.
Again, I don't know if the block is offset, but there is kind of like a roll lock, but it's with stucco and it has some metal trim in it. So we're going to peel that all back and find out why it offsets to about 2 inches all the way around the perimeter of the house. But you know, the preference would be to leave that and probably paint it a different color versus doing something different. But we're going to do a band right above that.
Becca, can you throw up that picture of the foundation? I'm not quite
It's
following.
gonna be hard to find one that's got it exactly, but you can see.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So you're not sure why that little bump out is
And
occurring,
and there, you can see rust in the top of it, so there's metal on that, so there could be foam below it.
right?
And because they blew out the foam on the corners,
Yeah,
so.
it looks very out of plane. Look at that corner. I can't, or, oh, I guess that thing's flipped, so that's what's out of plane there, the little door.
So
Yeah.
the window replacement will just be on the first floor.
Yeah, because the
Correct.
second floor windows have already.
You're
been
good.
replaced.
Okay.
I mean, I think you'll find out the detail is gonna have to be what it is because it's existing, right? So when you tear that off, you know,
You see it right there.
Figure
that's-
out.
that's-
right?
And if you were to, if it was just painting that, that is something that could be approved at a staff level. So they wouldn't have to come back before the board for that if you open it up and discover whatever's there and you want to paint it.
Yeah, I would add another caveat, Tim. If you look at this picture, those are picture framed windows, and if they're gonna have to redo
Thank you.
the sides to put up
Yeah.
clapboard, then they can
Yeah, thank you.
do
Good.
those correctly.
Look at the front of the house.
With
Can
the
you-
sill and
Can you blow that one up back up first? Is that stucco on the front of the house as well?
Yes.
It is. Okay,
and those,
yeah, it's a good catch. Thank you, David.
So what do you want to do?
So just the way we do, just like you saw those details from that other lady with the Southern Living House. So just true 1x6s around the window, but no picture frame. So a sill, a faux sill on the bottom, and then trim around 3 sides. So traditional detail, not a picture frame
So
detail.
I think we're showing 4-inch trim on that, but do you want 4-inch on the sides and 6-inch on the top? Or is that, you're that specific?
You could do 4 on the side, 6 on the top, but what we're saying is the sill is a true sill with.
Okay.
look to
Yeah,
it, not
and-
just Picture frame.
I got you. Understand.
And the cross member on the top, the header,
Yeah,
should be sitting on top of the sides rather than being
extended out or
45.
not extended out?
No,
Okay. No
just,
reveal.
just not 45.
Okay, yeah, no.
Right.
But 6-inch lap siding is, hardy siding is good.
Mhm. It is, but corner boards and, a skirt board like you've shown there.
Yeah.
So
And the front, the
Just-
porch will look like that because the porch isn't pushed out, the bottom crawl space part of the porch.
right.
But on the sides, you saw that where it pushes out.
And-
We're not really sure how that's going.
And you had said earlier in the presentation, changing the columns on the front to square columns like on the back, but the ones on the back didn't have any architectural treatment at either the top or the bottom, no capital or plinth.
Yeah, that's just a plain 1x2 trim on the top and bottom. Those are 10-inch square columns that are shown.
Okay, but they should have a plinth block at the bottom and a capital at the top. Trim.
Yeah, so what size do you want that?
I don't know
Rachel,
what's
I'll let
appropriate, but
Yeah.
they do need to have some detailing.
Like 10-inch on the bottom and 6 on the top, something like that? Is that what you're doing?
You mean like a base?
Yeah.
I don't usually go as high as 10 inches.
Yeah, 10 seems a little heavy.
Yeah. But,
I mean, these,
The bottom.
the ones that are on the front now, which are round, have an appropriate capital and appropriate plinth, so.
Do something similar.
Yeah,
is what
something
he's saying.
similar. Okay,
It makes it look more finished.
understand.
And currently on the chimney, there's stucco and there are some cracks, so we're not sure if the stucco is removed. We're gonna end up just replacing with brick. So there was a picture of this brick. I don't know if you.
I bet you that's
Yeah.
block.
Wow, yeah, that's what we said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure if you want some painted stucco.
Or it might even be framed with a metal stack going up through it if it got stuccoed.
Yeah, we got a permit to make a repair. We were gonna do that, but it's just the wrong time of year. Ripping off part of the house until we knew what you guys were gonna say.
The step work on the chimney is very attractive. Where it steps down as it goes up and
It's
not
free-
only
that's
attractive
free, no charge for that.
and appropriate.
So with that brickwork on those slope pieces, it would probably be better to have stucco as the
Yeah.
chimney, then change that to a
Yeah.
sided finish.
So then we would trim that out along the side of the, of the chimney and then paint the stucco.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Probably the same color as the,
as
As
the,
the
as
unit.
the, I would agree.
All right, that's a great job.
Mhm.
yes, sir.
So does your motion stand?
I think it stands. I don't think, was there anything there that we need to add?
On the back, if you're okay with the Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shed
we can
door.
do
Oh,
the shed door.
yeah, I was okay with the shed in the back too. Y'all good with that?
What's that?
The shed, combining the dormers to just one shed
Right,
roof in the
it
back.
being done in Hardy.
Right, out of Hardy.
And no vinyl there, vinyl's fine.
No. No vinyl, that's all right. No vinyl soffits.
So the conditions were just SDL windows and color palette 1.
And the sill.
And the
sill.
sill, the windows trim sill detail.
Yep, true sill.
I mean, the trim details need to be in proportion to the other trim details in the historic district of Somerville. So corner boards,
Some plinths for the
frieze boards.
columns.
And you didn't specify
As long as you
dimensions
just-
for the
Yeah, just-
plinth and capital, just detail.
No, it's not. No. It's Somerville. It's Somerville. It's just
You'll
not
have to
nothing.
For the building permit.
Just
so
can't be any, it's gotta have 6
I'll
inches
send you
band at the
when
top,
I send the
I've never seen this before.
Certificate,
Okay.
it'll have all these conditions on
Did
it,
we vote?
so you guys don't have to go back.
We've
Yeah.
not voted.
Okay.
Tim made a motion. I'll
Yes.
second.
Okay, Jane,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Rachel, yes, Nancy Jean.
Yes.
David, yes.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Merry
good luck, guys.
Oh.
Good luck.
Mhm.
All right. Any miscellaneous?
No, except to just repeat what I said earlier, that, with this issue coming up with Heath's project, with the vinyl question and materials question, to make my life easier and everyone's life
Yeah.
easier,
Mhm.
the way our system is set up for permitting, I can make certain questions required for them to even submit. So that won't be an issue anymore. And I'll send you all, just so you're aware what it looks like, in case you have neighbors or friends who start to complain about how hard the BAR application is. They'll probably just call me, but I just feel like it's a cleaner way.
It's not as hard as coming here and
Yes.
talking for an hour and being told you need to
Mhm.
go back and
Right.
reconsider. it.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Yeah. So that is, and that's something I can do. I don't have to get additional approvals or, that's something I can just add. And it takes them usually a couple days if it's a lot of stuff to update on the site. But I'm gonna go through that tomorrow,
But you're gonna send us a copy of it?
Yes.
So we know.
just in case there's anything I missed.
If we see something right.
Yes.
Hey, put this on there.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Becca, if they sign off on that, that means they've acknowledged?
Yeah, because it is hard when, certain details aren't specifically called out on the plans, but a lot of times the applicants that we're dealing with haven't spent the money on designs that are that level yet, or they're still deciding, or it's something they want to ask you about, or they're just not even aware of. I try and encourage the design professionals to come, but I have a hard time at enforcing that, obviously. Yeah, but other than that, we do have a new arborist. So that's if I've been a little unavailable lately, I've been working with getting him into all the, because I assign tree mitigation for all residential projects in town. So
Is Bill retired now?
he retired Friday. Yeah, Friday was his last day. So he's out doing whatever retired people do, I guess. But Nick Wilson is his name. He worked for Parks and Recreation and went to school for horticulture and is a certified arborist. So
Okay, good.
Yep. You'll meet him at some point, I'm sure, walking around town or in your yard. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
I've got a quick question after we adjourn.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
Does the town still send out letters like, I used to get a letter like if my neighbor was gonna make a change in his house or whatever.
They're sent out the week before. It's to every property within 500 feet.
I never got one for the neighbor across the street who's putting the shed, but I just wondered, I saw it signed and.
Yeah, you should have gotten one. What's your address?
403 West Second.
403.
I guess he's on South, he's on South Laurel, we're right across the street on West Second.
Yeah, it should go to it. I use a mapping feature that pulls all of the addresses for me. So I'll go through the address list I have and I'll double check. The only thing I can think, y'all haven't moved within the last 3 or 4 years? Y'all haven't moved within the last 3 or 4 years? Okay, sometimes Dorchester County takes, okay. Just, I thought so, but just making sure, sometimes the county is slow at updating our lists for address. But yeah, if you're within that 500 feet, you should have gotten a letter. So I'll check that tomorrow.
Thanks. I just, I saw the sign and I'm like,
Sure.
what is this?
Yeah.
Did you bring it up?
And that's my number that's on the sign. If you ever have any questions, you can just call me.
I did call, but I
You
only
did?
got busy signal, so I called like 4 times.
Okay,
I love listening to house talk anyway.
I brought up, how the size of it. And the reason why I brought up the size of it is that in the past, in our area, house was built, 2-story house. They came back and asked for a garage, put a car garage in. Then, without coming to you people, they added onto the garage and put an apartment for the child. They filled in the ditch. The water came under my friend's house and hit the other ditch and came out. And this is in the historic district. This is why I know this house. It's right across the street from me. I'm right in front of his house. And that's an awfully big garage he's asking for. I think everybody needs a garage or house with the lawnmowers and the tools and things. I've got one, don't misunderstand, put them up. But I'm not planning on converting anymore in. I did do an apartment for my 40 years ago when my dad had died and we came to Somerville. And that's a long time ago. And I did it for my mother. And she stayed there and she was a Finucane. So you can go how far we go back. But I bought a big enough piece of land to do it. And I want 8.8 of an acre. So it's my house and the cottage. And now we're getting too old to go upstairs. I might have to come back and ask you people, let me add a bedroom downstairs somehow. But I just want to be careful about putting, and this lot is not that big.
It floods in the back.
Yeah, it floods.
He's on the canal.
And Taylor hauled 14 loads of dirt to build that back up when he redid that house.
I think
And
he did a marvelous job.
he did a great job. I think he was throwing it out. Taylor did a great job on that house, but I just had some misgiving.
Yeah,
Issue with it.
these are things that the town has to address, and they're not in our purview to say what you're doing.
The only thing we look at is what it looks like.
Zoning,
we don't look at.
some people believe in doing and asking for forgiveness.
Yeah. And that's a whole.
Instead of coming to you people ahead, and I do believe in you people. You do like, I'm gonna keep Somerville. Hey, we're not keeping Somerville anymore. It's getting out of our hands. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
So motion to adjourn.
In favor?